JT, this was a crazy one. Nick Saban doesn't like college football. The same guy who retired because things were getting so wild. This is from On 3, as Nick Saban is to be named the co-chair of the Presidential Commission studying college sports. Then Saban talks to Pat McAfee, saying, in essence, a quote here from Jack Trice Media, he's publicly said his ideal college football model would be an NFL-based structure, including the richest 40 teams and kicking everyone else to the curb. When someone of the influence of a Nick Saban in college football says, let's just go to the NFL model, let's just go to Georgia, Ohio State being in the same conference, a mega conference, we have that matchup every weekend. When a guy with that kind of voice says that, it is damning for this sport.
It absolutely is. I think it's interesting. There's been such a large push by fans, I think I'll say, and some media to make Nick Saban the commissioner of college football, because it's pretty clear he mainly has the SEC's best interest in heart and some of the Big Ten, but more so the top two than everyone else. And he doesn't care. He was one of the people, and yes, he has his obvious Bama affiliation, like campaigning for no SMU. Like, what is this team? In the McAfee interview, he mentions, like, if Ole Miss was in the Big 12, what would they have finished? I don't know, Nick. Maybe if they didn't lose to Kentucky, we wouldn't have even had to have that discussion. So once again, we do this in hypotheticals. Everyone told me Texas was going to steamroll over Arizona State. Arizona State should have won that game. And I'm talking about a 4th and 13, not even a missed penalty call. So I just think he's another example of a guy where his bias clearly shows. And I think he would not be a good commissioner because he clearly is going to just try to do what's in the best interest of the top brands. Now, granted, maybe whoever is a commissioner would be, I don't like, why do we need to make it a smaller pool? Why do we need to cut everyone out? Is it just so the top teams can get even more money? They seem to be doing okay without it. I don't know, Drake. Like I said, man, I really hate it. I hate how we're just continuing to try to change the sport, and why college football is beautiful because it's its own thing. The NFL is great because it's its own thing. Like, why do we need to just copy what the NFL does? And then are we talking about, okay, so we do super conferences. So then is it like something like Iowa State is in the same, and who knows if they're even in the 40, right? But like Iowa State is close by other Midwest school like Wisconsin, something like that. So they're all in the same division, and that's how we kind of do it that way then. So I don't know. Once again, like Nick Saban even mentioning another hypothetical that tries to favor the SEC, it's just problematic. I do not like this situation. It is just another example of some of the top voices in college sports just trying to position the SEC and Big Ten for more power.
Yeah, and not only that, Nick Saban is employed currently by ESPN. His paychecks are signed by the 4 letters, and those 4 letters have been tasked with keeping the SEC alive. They've taken over CBS's role as the primary carrier. So ABC is going to get a major SEC game. Every afternoon, every morning, ESPN has that special lower third, special graphics just for the SEC, despite owning a large portion of the Big 12's media rights. That conference gets nothing special. The ACC gets nothing special. It's all about the S, the E, and the C. And Nick Saban, being a massive part of ESPN and a massive part of that conference's history, makes me turn my eyes to what ESPN is and what ESPN is doing to college football. It seems like their PR machine, as it continues to campaign for that conference, is actively campaigning for pretty much the death of everybody else.
It was pretty tough last year with some of the things that Kirk Herbstreit said. Some of those things are a great example of that. And ESPN, look, they have this massive deal with the SEC. It felt like game day every single week went to an SEC school. I think they went to Cal, and that was it for I don't know if for just ACC or Big 12. Maybe I'm forgetting one, I'm sure. And they'll start at Farmageddon this year, I think, right? Yeah. But even that's kind of the special game cheap, that was right? So far out. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. So they've that's where it does get dangerous. I was very encouraged last year that the College Football Playoff Committee chose to do the right thing and put an SMU in. And then everyone wants to go, oh, well, SMU got steamrolled. Yeah, so did Tennessee. And Tennessee's game should have been the worst one of them all, if not for a miraculous end zone interception too. So once again, it drives me absolutely nuts that we continue to try to push this agenda. If they're so much better than everyone else, then why couldn't they steamroll in Arizona State? If Tennessee's so great, why didn't they compete more with an Ohio State too? So if with the same conclusion we always arrive at is the SEC is the best when the results tell us otherwise based on some of these other games. And if they are so great, why are you scared to go over into Big 12 teams' house, go over into some of these ACC team's house, go into their house, beat the crap out of them. You tell me you're so much better than them all and you beat them in these hypotheticals, schedule them. Let's put your money where your mouth is. Let's actually go out and see and do it. But the truth is, then you do what Florida did, and then Florida wants to come out to Salt Lake City. And then what happens with Florida is Cam Rising didn't play. Shocker, I know. So then you have 2 backup quarterbacks that end up going out there for Utah, and they steamroll Florida, big bad SEC team. Oh, wow, what happened? Is Florida just a disaster, a mess? I mean, no, they weren't great that year, but the truth is it's really hard to win on the road in college football, and it's not just like SEC is the best at everything. So just is really disappointing that they continue to try and push this agenda, and in some ways it does concern me that ESPN does have the sole monopoly on the college football playoff. I credit the committee for doing the right thing last year, but we also heard about the SEC and Big Ten trying to pull the strings where they want to potentially use TV ratings. Like,
yeah.
That's going to literally make me go bald, Drake. If we use TV ratings to get teams into the college football playoff just because we want them there, it's bad.
40 teams. If Nick Saban gets his way, if college football consolidates to that level, how many Big 12 teams are left off the table?
That's how many left off?
Yeah.
16-team league. I will easily say half. Agree or disagree with that?
I think at some level you have to agree. Half or close to it. 10 might make it in, and then 6 left away.
Like if Deion leaves Colorado, I don't think they're in right away. Like
no, not right away.
Get in.
For sure, because you're looking at a stacked. There are 20 brands that are just this automatic yes that you can't dance around, and that would be your Michigans, Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, Auburn, and then you get to that middle tier where you look at Wisconsin and you go, okay, Wisconsin versus Iowa State, they're going to nod to Wisconsin.
Probably.
Okay, well, Wisconsin versus Kansas State, they're going to nod Wisconsin. There are going to be a lot of those conversations in the room of, hey, what does our super conference look like? And I'm not sure if from a third party, I say third party, but really from the party controlled by the SEC and the Big Ten, that the Big 12 get a fair shake if we consolidated to 40.
I don't think they would at all. I mean, I'm trying to run through it in my head right now. Does BYU get in? They're an ascending power. Yes, I'm willing to say that as the Utah guy wearing a Utah hat. Do they get in? But they haven't done a ton in their past, but their future looks bright. So are they top 40? Because they haven't been lately, but they could be. What do you do with the Kansas State that's been there, but we don't know. Oklahoma State, they've had a good brand and everything. So who makes the cut? Who gets the decision? Do we do a soccer type relegation type thing? And that's something we talked about on the squad show last week. Probably not, because then one of the top brands sucks. They get relegated and everyone's like, well, we don't want, like, those teams don't want that. They just want to put themselves in the best position. They want to avoid the competition and instead just do everything they can to put themselves in the best spot by just beating their chest of how great they are. It goes back to the Ole Miss example I brought up. If Ole Miss was so great last year, then why are they losing to some of these bad teams? Beat the Florida team. Jackson Dart come through in that moment. Like Ole Miss as a whole. Lane Kiffin, you talk all the time on social media. Go out there and beat Kentucky. You were Kentucky's only P4 win. And once again, you all scream and tell me that they're just better. So yeah, this would really, like, if they did a draft of this where Roger Goodell style, he's getting up on the stage, like, it would suck to be a Big 12 fan, because I don't know. I think you'd get 25 picks through, maybe even to the 30s until you hear your first name. Now, granted, you could hear a couple in a row after that, but Drake, you already said there's that 20 that are a slam dunk, and even the ACC has more slam dunks to me right now than the Big 12 does, because those are the ones that are so actively and constantly being rumored to being drawn into another conference. So it's incredibly concerning. And I do think that if it was 40, honestly, right now, if the over under was at 5.5, I'd take the under for a Big 12 teams that get in this 40 league super conference, which I think is really unfortunate. And even, hey, in 3 minutes, I already went down on what my original one was, right? So that's that's just how scary and bleak a future would be if that's what they got to. Thankfully, I don't think they'll do that, but instead of a 40 team league, it just could be a type of super conference, and maybe that makes up 40. So that's scary.
Yeah, very. Coming up, what's not scary for Utah fans? Has BYU turned heel? Is Utah in the good graces of this league now? This is a Locked On Big 12, Locked On Utes crossover.